just have a bag of the frozen udon, which I'll just add to my pot to boil. So I'm making extra for the kids for lunch tomorrow, so I'm actually going to be using the whole pack today. Go. Okay, once I added all the noodles, I'm just gonna mix it up and let it boil for just a couple minutes. And I'm gonna drain it. Okay, just let that come up to a boil for a couple minutes. Okay, my udon is starting to come to a boil. Almost ready here. I'm just gonna pour this out onto the strainer in the sink and just let the water drain. Give it a couple more minutes. My udon is pretty much ready here. I'm just gonna take it to the sink to strain. See, just dump it out. That's it. If you remember earlier today, I showed you a recipe on how to cook bone broth. Now my bone broth is nice and ready for me to use for my noodle soup. So you can see now I'm just gonna scoop it out into another pot to boil again and add my vegetable. You can see how clear my broth is. That's because remember I did the boiling at the beginning to clean off the bone, all those bone marrow and all the, I guess, the blood from the bone and the meat has all been washed out after the 5-minute boil, and now it's just nice and clear broth. Now I'm gonna add, ladle in the broth into my pot to start cooking. See, ladle this in. And because today I'm making noodle soup, so I don't be using any of the bones at all because I already have the chicken. But I will show you another recipe another day where I will be using the bone that I put in the broth here for a pork back neck oat soup with kimchi. Okay, I think that should be about enough. That should be about enough broth for us for tonight's dinner. All I do is turn on the stove and let it come to a boil. My broth has come to a boil now, and to this I always like to add some vegetables so the kids have a balanced meal. So to this is just some Napa cabbage that I've cut up and washed. I'm just gonna put in a couple handfuls here. Actually, just a little more, because I like to eat a lot of veggies myself. Okay, so this is all we're gonna need. I'm gonna bring this to a boil, and then I'm just gonna season it with the bouillon, the premium bouillon powder to taste, while waiting for the chicken and this to boil. I had our udon drained earlier, and now it's basically ready to use. I'm just gonna be scooping or taking out some noodle and adding it to the bowls. That should be about enough for my little one. Okay, you can see the broth boiling now. I'm just gonna reduce the heat down to medium, and I'm gonna season it. So just the chicken bouillon here. Let's use this broth here. Yeah, I don't need too much because earlier on when I was cooking the broth, I already added some salt, so that should be enough, but you can always taste it for seasoning. Yeah, I think we can do a little more broth seasoning here, so I'm just gonna add just a tad more. you go. And that is pretty much it for our broth. After seasoning the broth, I'm just gonna leave it there to simmer for a few minutes. Also cook the cabbage. Now I'm gonna move over and continue to ladle our noodles into the bowl for dinner. There we go. Yep, I think this is enough. Okay, now that the soup is boiling, I'm just going to be ladling the broth over to the soup here and topping it off the teriyaki chicken. Okay. And there's our beautiful teriyaki chicken udon for dinner. I hope everyone enjoyed today's recipe. If you like my recipe, please like and subscribe to follow me for more recipes.